Okay, so this is a Ask HershNoeie that I got a few weeks ago. I can't see myself because the way I have my little thing. Hold on. We're going to try to do this. Whew, it's messing with danger right there when you do it like that. Okay. Sorry. I have this little, I'm using my little octopus, so whatever. Make sure you join the Discord. It's going to be down in the description box below. Now, I sat on this one for a bit because it is a controversial topic. Excuse me. And I'm not someone who gets offended by people because, again, I see it as when someone is, if you get offended over what people say and do, they have control over you. And I don't want no one to have control over me. So there was a time when things were way different, but as I've gotten older, that's not for everybody. But just because I don't let things offend me doesn't mean I won't put you in your place. So let's get that straight, right? That doesn't mean that you won't face a wrath if it has to go there. But this will make more sense when I go through it. This person is writing me and he wanted to give a lot of assurances and says, look, I'm not racist. I promise you I'm not. His ex-girlfriend's not racist. He says, I promise you that she's not. He gave me a lot of receipts early on. I got like 2 emails. The first one was just a proof that he is saying that he's not racist or anything and that his ex-girlfriend's not. He showed me pictures on from what I can tell, hold on. Oh, that's something in my mouth. I was eating, so it was just something in my mouth. Of a valid Facebook account. And in that Facebook account, it shows that they've had a relationship because it shows it was during the time of the sickness. And there's, they're wearing a mask and all this stuff. So it's not, that part's true. He then gives me a name of an individual, and I go to that name and I see his ex-girlfriend with this new person. And you're able to see enough pictures there to show that they're together. You go to her page and there's a little limited information, but it shows in a relationship and it shows this guy and it shows this new guy and her together. So I don't doubt that what he's saying is true. This is going to be a very controversial video for some, but I'm going to sanitize it. So it's definitely an NCFW. Yeah. He states, hey Hersh, prefacing all the stuff I said. I wanted to give you all this information because for years now, my now ex-girlfriend and I had a unique relationship. We were somewhat seeing other people. He mentions a word that I can't really say on YouTube, but it's when people are together and they get into relations with others. It starts with an S. So anyway, we had been doing that for several years. It was actually my idea to begin with. At first she was apprehensive, but then later she was completely okay. Over the past 2 years, I had gotten into some movies of the adult nature. And these were interracial movies. It started off as that, and then later it got into more hardcore stuff. Now, he sent me links. I'm not going to share those things, of course. But he sent me some links, and he said some of the language that's used, obviously, many, if not most, African-American people would be offended by. He said, however, the movies that he liked involved black dudes with white chicks. And I got to watch the stuff that he said, and I get what he's saying. It's stuff that if was said in public, a person would get hurt. Right? He said, so I started watching these, and she started watching them as well. I became very interested in this because for some reason I liked it. However, I'm definitely not someone who believes in inequality in any stretch of the word. I actually hate that type of thing. I like to see diversity. I enjoy diversity. And he goes on and he tries to put those assurances in there. He mentions that he had a coworker who was a black dude, and they hung out a couple of times. He had been over to the house a couple of times, and he had talked to his now ex-girlfriend if she would be interested in reenacting some of the things that they had seen using the controversial language. She agreed. He said he never intended for this to really go the length that it did. And he thought that, well, first she would have to agree to this. Second, he would have to agree to it. And third, it would actually have to happen. So he felt like it wasn't going to happen. Right? I'm trying to truncate a very long email. Make a long story short, I'm skipping down a little bit. He says, so I asked him if he would be interested in doing the stuff that when people have starts with an S and people, and he said yes. I then told him basically that my girlfriend would be interested in being with a black dude, and she told him that she had never been with a black dude at all. And so he agreed. We met up again at my house earlier last year. So this was in 2020. When he showed up, and he said earlier last year, I don't know, but he talks about the summer is when things went awry. So they meet up. He says that we discussed this and she told him that she would want to do this, to reenact a video. And he said, what video? So I pulled everything up on TV, showed it to him, and he watched a few seconds of the video. And so she said, I want to reenact everything that's there in terms of language and stuff. And so he just laughed. And so this guy says, I didn't expect that reaction. And so he said, okay. So this guy goes on to say, I was a little shocked, but also a little nervous. Like, I didn't expect it to really go this far. This is something that what he's saying is that he didn't expect this, right? So, skipping through again, it gets to the point where in the summer, even though there's the sickness, they go to do this. He wanted to be there when things were happening, et cetera, it happened. He said, well, then she wanted to do it again. And so, he's like, whatever. And it happened. He said, so then it became a situation where I was a bit concerned. He said, we lived together, and due to the sickness, we decided to just stay together in the same place. He states that after he told her that he is, I don't want to necessarily do this anymore, let's, move on to the next thing, she became distant. One day she said that, hey, I'm going to go and see my mom. He says she wants to see her mom because it had been a while. Now, I will tell you the state that they're in, because it's not whatever. They're in New York. So he said that, I'm not going to tell you what part of New York, because whatever. But he states that it's several hours to get there. Okay? So he said that she was going to come back a few days later. And after she had not returned any of my calls or texts, I got a little concerned, and I actually drove down the road to see if maybe she had an accident. I kept looking, nothing. I called her mom's house. Her mom didn't answer, and he said that he was concerned. A few days go by, and he says that, he texted her sister, and her sister said no, she hadn't been here, but she had talked to her and said that she had talked to her recently. Make a long story short to go through this is a long email. He said that he goes on to Facebook and he sees that the guy that he knew, his coworker, and his now ex-girlfriend were on his Facebook together, or on the new dude's Facebook in a picture together. So he finally kept texting, calling her, and he said that her thing was that she did not want to be in a relationship with him any longer. He said that she felt like she had gotten more out of the relationship with the new guy, and that the relationship was a true relationship. He's like, whatever that means. That basically I ended up losing someone over a fantasy that became a reality. I often kick myself at how stupid I am, because now both of them seem to be pretty happy, and now this has been some 6 months. And he goes on to say, I still, however, like these types of videos. I don't know why. I feel like I'm kind of trapped, and I feel like something's wrong with me. I ended up losing someone who I had known for a very long time and who I respected and loved. And I also lost someone who I considered a friend. I'm asking you, what should I do? How do I fix this? And he goes on to talk about other stuff. If I go through the other parts and all the other questions, this would be like a 40-minute video. Let me first say this, that I didn't want to do this video because A, very sensitive topic. B, YouTube will block stuff. But here's my take on it. He wants me to, basically it ends with him saying if I could help him get his chick back, which I'm not doing that. That's not my job. I think that sometimes fantasy becomes reality, like you said, and it's playing with fire, because I go on to the person's Facebook page, the ex-girlfriend, and they seem like they have been like a relationship, because you see pictures of them. I don't know whose house is what or any of that, but sitting on the couch watching movies, basically it seems like there's something during the summer, like I guess they were like in a lake or something, I don't know, but you can see where they've been tubing in the lake with friends, which is probably not a good idea during the sickness. A lot of different things, right? You see different videos of them, and like I guess it's like a farmer's market with mask on and different things, really booed up. Is it dirty? It's all types of dirty in every aspect, right? It is. But I think that one of the big lessons learned here is that you need to really probably go and speak to someone who's qualified. And I only say this because I think that there's a lot of issues there. I don't know, because I'm not a doctor or a psychiatrist or a social worker, none of that. But I think there's a lot of things there that you probably need to deal with. Because there's other stuff that I didn't reveal in this email that he confessed, that he spewed his heart out to, right? And I appreciate that you feel comfortable telling me certain very details, but there's certain things that, yeah, you probably want to go and just talk to someone and ask them. I don't think I'm the right person to ask because I don't know. I mean, yeah. As far as trying to get somebody back, it's kind of like if she feels happy, then that's what it is. If she's happy, that's what it is. You ended up basically playing matchmaker and didn't intend on that. Some of the things that you see, and this is part of the problem with the adult stuff, the stuff that you see is not real. They're acting. Now, I mean, obviously it's real enough, but they're acting. The people who do this, it's a job. Now, it may be controversial to some, so other people may not care. Other people might be indifferent. Other people may be repulsed by it. Okay. But at the end of the day, these are folks that are acting out a whatever. And they put those little disclaimers on there telling you that, hey, if this is going to bother you, then you probably don't want to, probably don't want to watch. And you did it, and you wanted to reenact it, and then it ended up backfiring. So I think the big lesson here would be to, I would give up on the situation between you and the ex, because it seems like they done moved on. You're still here trying to figure things out, and you're still in the same place. They've moved on. So what I would suggest to you is definitely go and speak to someone. I'm not trying to be rude. Go speak to someone and tell them all the stuff you told me. Print out that email you sent and just say, here, read this. And talk to them, and then do some self-discovery. Let that, wrestle with that. Deal with that part of it. Moving forward, I always say don't gamble if you aren't willing to lose. If you gamble, there's an opportunity for you to lose. And you aided in that situation. You aided in that situation in the most extreme way. And when you've done that, it's kind of, because what you're dealing with are things that are very, very sensitive. And the fact that you didn't think that he would go along with it or that she would go along with it, and then they happen to go along with it, it's like there's no other role that you can play. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to answer this. This is a weird one. This is very weird. And I believe you. I believe all the things that you wrote. I believe everything that you said. There has been some Ask HershNoeie that I don't do because I'm like, oh. And then I do a little digging and I'm like, I don't know if this is real. This one I think is real. I do think that this Ask HershNoeie is real. I just don't know what to say other than to definitely go and speak to someone. And I'm not saying that, I mean, what one likes and what someone else don't like, okay. Again, I take this like I do everything else. There's many things I may agree with, disagree with, or what have you, but I try not to judge an individual. And the other thing is that nothing shocks me about human behavior, and nothing offends me about human behavior. I don't let people offend me. But I think that you did a high stakes gamble and lost. Let that be a lesson. But as far as old girl and dude, I mean, they seem to be content. And it's unfortunate for you, but I would say that next time around, don't do that. Don't do that. I don't know what else to tell you other than don't do that. Now, I know some people will say, man, there's a lot of, in between the weeds, and man, you should say this and you should be upset. You should do that. No. What I do is typically I'll read if it's legit. I will read someone's Ask HershNoeie. I'll go over it. I had someone else send me something, and it was a bit much. It was a chick, something similar. It was a chick, and it was a little much. Like it wasn't language that would make someone get hurt, but it was stuff in the it was just it was a lot. Like it was some stuff that it was some stuff. So sometimes there's some that I just pass on. This one I thought about passing on, but I'm like, I mean, if you're that, I'm gonna say it, if you're that stupid, right? Now, people are allowed to judge you, chick and dude. They're allowed to judge that. But what I would do if I were you is focus on you and see what the circumstances in terms of that, right? And go from there. Let someone who's qualified, because I'm not, folks, I'm not. I'm qualified to be me. Let someone discuss that with you in greater detail versus me, because you're going to go a little bit farther. Anyhow, make sure you join the Discord. It's going to be down in the description box below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Until next time, I will see you. Take care.